A new protocol which governs how social partners relate to each other in the works. Police investigate a shooting death in Gall Hill, Christchurch. A political scientist questions the decision to appoint acting president of the DLP, Andrew Worrell, to the Senate.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I'm Pearson Bowen. A timeline has been set for Barbados to have a new protocol which governs how social partners relate to each other. That's according to Minister of Labour, Social Security and the Third Sector, Colin Jordan, who says work is ongoing to ensure officials sign Protocol 7 on May Day 2025. He tells CBC News the new document currently being drafted will guide the behaviour of tripartite constituents.
The idea really is that as mature segments of the population, the society, the economy, we believe that we can settle all of our issues by sitting and talking with each other, discussing with each other, and coming up with solutions. The protocol tells us how we do that.
Water service should be returning to thousands of residents in St. Peter this evening. That's because crew from the Barbados Water Authority have completed the repair work on the 7-inch main located in the gully between Rock Hall and Four Hills, St. Peter. Meanwhile, Senior Superintendent with the BWA's Distribution Department, Gregory Thompson, says a local resident who lived close to the rim of the gully pointed out a viable path to get heavy equipment in and out of the area.
And customers, the regular service has been restored to the customers. Customers at the extremities of the system, which will be areas like Boscobel Terrace and Diamond Corner, may still be experiencing some low pressure conditions, but we just want to ensure those customers that their pressure tool will be restored as we continue to pump and there are no issues in the system.
That's Director of Engineering Charles Leslie, who says since the repairs were completed on Wednesday evening, the water pressure has been improving. BWA officials are advising customers the system will take time to return to normalcy and low pressure could be expected in some areas. Water tankers continue to service those customers impacted by the outage. The acting chief executive officer of the Barbados Water Authority has resigned. Keith Roy Halliday, who led the government agency for the past 8 years, has informed staff through a memo he's made what he's calling a difficult decision to leave the authority. He says he's pursuing new opportunities that presented themselves and aligned with his personal and professional goals. Mr. Halliday, who served as General Manager of the BWA before being appointed Acting CEO, thanks the staff for their unwavering dedication, relentless support and effort throughout this time with the authority. He further notes the authority is now on the cusp of a welcomed transition phase and notes in the coming months he will work with all teams, management, union and the board of directors to facilitate a seamless transition to the new appointment of a CEO. Barbados has recorded another shooting death. The deceased is Dominic Yard, 27 years, of St. Patrick's Christchurch. That incident occurred this morning around 9 in Hillside Road, Gall Hill, Christchurch. Acting Superintendent of Police Victor Brewster gives us the details.
A driver of a car which was heading towards the direction of the Aberdeen Centre was approached by a lone assailant from one of the side roads. The driver, who is a single occupant of that vehicle, in an effort to avoid his attacker, collided with 2 other vehicles, one of which was a road taxi traveling in the opposite direction. After colliding, it overturned and landed on the right side. The assailant then went towards that vehicle, discharged a number of shots, and fled the scene.
While none of the commuters in the ZR vehicle was injured, police investigations are ongoing. Political scientist Peter Wickham is questioning the decision to appoint acting president of the Democratic Labour Party, Andrea Worrell, to the Senate. Worrell was sworn in this morning to replace Tricia Watson. Mr. Wickham wants to know why political leader Ralph Thorne did not choose a female instead.
My main concern regarding Andrea Worrell is not to do with his ability, but with the fact that there's a gender balance in the Senate that the Democratic Labour Party has observed for a long time. This has now been violated. There were other women who were available. He has 2 women in his shadow cabinet, both of whom could have been available to serve in the Senate. Neither of these persons were chosen. Andrea Worrell, of course, is part of the Democratic Labour Party's, one could say, the Thorne team, and for that he presumably is being rewarded.
Mr. Wickham adds replacing Ms. Watson with another female would have been the ideal move, considering her removal from the Senate would have triggered controversial debate.
As I said, there are 2 logical choices in the shadow cabinet for Thorne, one of whom has previously served as a senator and, in my view, would have been an obvious choice. Notwithstanding, I congratulate the new Senator Worrell, and I wish him well in his sojourn, as I wish the Democratic Labour Party well as they attempt to pick up the pieces and pull the organization together.
Mr. Worrell was sworn in this morning in the presence of Acting President Dean Jeffrey Gibson at State House. Opposition leader Ralph Thorne and fellow DLP Senator Ryan Walters were on hand for the occasion. Mr. Thorne announced the Senate change during his maiden address at the DLP's 69th annual conference. Mr. Worrell is no stranger to the Senate, having served in the upper house in the previous administration of late Prime Minister David Thompson. Worrell, the DLP's spokesman on health, says he intends to be a voice for Barbadians.
As you've seen, Ralph has come as the leader of the opposition in terms of speaking out for in the interest of the people of Barbados. And that is where my focus will be, to join with him and Senator Ryan Walters to put the case of the people of Barbados. And that has always been my passion, in terms of making sure that we, the people of Barbados, get the benefit of this country. And you hear a number of persons crying out. I'm a spokesperson for health, so you'll definitely hear my voice with regard to the issues at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. I've served in the Senate for 8 years before, so I'm accustomed to participating in robust debate.
Opposition leader Ralph Thorne, in welcoming Senator Worrell, insists the selection of the new senator should not be seen as a reward, but as recognition of leadership in the DLP. He adds he looks forward to Mr. Worrell's contribution.
This is a day of celebration in the life of this young man who has come to this office because of his courage, his character, his integrity. He's 45 years old. He has been in the service of the Democratic Labour Party, I think, for most of his adult life. And he has been here before, so he brings to the office great experience.
Meanwhile, the Democratic Labour Party is paying tribute to former DLP parliamentarian Dame Maisie Barker-Welch, who passed away yesterday at the age of 96. The party said Dame Maisie, though small, was a mighty package in the halls of George Street, who transcended the gender barrier and was a pioneer in Parliament. It states her work in gender studies did not go unnoticed. The DLP credits her to being a fierce champion of women's rights and piloting through Parliament seminal legislation such as the Domestic Violence Protection Order Act. Well, there's a call for more local dishes to be added to menus at Barbadian restaurants. It's coming from local chefs at the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association's Barbados National Culinary Team competition. Rachel Agard has that story.
The time has come for more local dishes to be a part of the culinary landscape. This is the view of award-winning chef Adrian Cumberbatch. He says while there's been positive change over the last decade, there's still work to be done. According to him, consistency from farmers is also needed to get more buy-in from chefs. He was speaking during the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association's Barbados National Culinary Team competition.
We would love to push local, but then some farmers don't, not all, I'm not discrediting farmers, but they're not consistent with the product and being consistent with the quality of the product. I know there's a lot of challenges, some things in the agriculture sector, but we need to support the farmers, and the farmers need to work together so we can get more from farm to table concepts in Barbados.
Mr. Cumberbatch, the team manager for the competition, says he usually pushes his young chefs at the Barbados Institute of Management and Productivity, or the Barbados Youth Advanced Corps, to use more local produce.
A lot of things locally are coming around. Down that line, the breadfruits is being pushed. I think we now start to really export the breadfruits now too as well. So overall, within next year, you will see a lot of, there's a project that's now coming on board by the BADC, Export Barbados, where they're taking the local products and giving young artisans a chance to create an environment to create their unique, locally made products. So I think next year you're going to see a lot of different products coming on your line.
Head chef at Cocktail Kitchen, Damien Leash, says there's always the need to include more local dishes.
Most of the tourists that come to the island, they got some amazing restaurants to choose from, amazing chefs, right? So when they come to Barbados, they come to Barbados for something different. They come for our cuisine, our flavor. We ain't salt and pepper and nothing. And, they may got a Michelin star restaurant, but they never had a breadfruit. So when they come to Barbados, they can get breadfruit, right? So they can go back and say, look, yeah, I had this breadfruit in Barbados, and it was amazing. So that makes their journey to Barbados something special.
He says Barbados is in a good place right now, as most of the head chefs are locally grown and trained, making it easier to offer local dishes.
I think that's why these competitions are important, because that's where I really got my passion for not just Bajan cooking, but Caribbean cooking in general, and really using the products that we have. This competition, because when you got the ingredients that we have here, we ain't got no strawberries and asparagus and truffle on there. We got local stuff there, right? We got breadfruit, all these sweet potatoes, the plantains, the spices, the ginger, local stuff. So this is where it starts.
Both chefs say they will continue to pass on their knowledge to all up-and-coming chefs. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Thanks, Rachel. Coming up, a suggestion the Barbados Cadet Corps can be used to help address challenges with young people. In the face of challenges with Barbadian youth, the former commandant of the Barbados Cadet Corps suggests education officials look to that organization to assist with intervention strategies. Colonel Errol Brathwaite, the now commandant of the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps, is confident in the ability of the men and women of the 120-year-old organization. He notes a high percentage of leaders of schools are either officers serving with the Cadet Corps or are former officers of the entity and the Barbados Defence Force. He says the cadets and Defence Force are well poised to help address problems.
We've got to sit down. We've got to do a surgical analysis and get to the root cause and then come up with solutions. We can't take a piecemeal approach. We cannot take a piecemeal approach. While we do this, we've got to make sure that what we do as members of the Defence Force is above board.
Colonel Brathwaite was the featured speaker of the Barbados Defence Force 45th Anniversary Lecture Series. The lecture was titled 120 Not Out, The History of the Barbados Cadet Corps and Its Contribution to National Youth Development. He's recognized the work of past leaders of the Cadet Corps, stating that it remains the leading corps in the region.
I will tell you that I will challenge Barbados from where I am. We'll see what the result looks like, but I challenge nonetheless. But as having gone over to the Cayman Islands and, having taken over as commandant of that very fine organization, I still continue to work closely with Barbados, because that guidance for an organization like the Cayman Islands, which is 22 years old, there's a lot of guidance that is still required. And there's a lot of guidance that we still get from Barbados.
The University of the West Indies sees a role for its graduates in helping resolve today's global challenges. Pro-Vice-Chancellor and Principal Professor Clive Landis says some of the obstacles are environmental and socio-economic. He told a group of postgraduate students this new chapter of their lives presents opportunities to make contributions to new knowledge and advancing society.
It is now your turn to add to UWI's wealth of discovery by understanding and addressing the big issues of the day in your field of study. You have the potential to influence national, regional, and international policy, transform industries, and usher in reform. Never underestimate the impact of your scholarship, which your scholarship can have on the world around you in this age of information and interconnectedness. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now part of a community that thrives on collaboration, critical thinking, and innovation.
Professor Landis says UWI embraces artificial intelligence and encourages its students to do so.
Do so openly, acknowledging when and where you have used AI, and do so with the assent of your lecturer or supervisor. Secondly, don't let AI rob you of your creativity, or worse still, your Caribbean identity. AI simply feeds on whatever big data is out there on the web, which at this stage is highly skewed towards big data and the worldview contributed from the global north. So for a UWI student, the boot is in fact on the other foot. You actually have a special responsibility as UWI students to infuse Caribbean thought and discovery into the realm of AI.
And Director of Graduate Studies and Research, Dr. Sherma Roberts, says UWI has worked hard on the programs and expects upon the completion of those studies, students will be fit for purpose.
When you re-engage fully in the world of work, either as entrepreneurs or as employees, you would have honed the knowledge, the skills, the critical thinking, the problem-solving tools that will equip you to make a positive difference to your Caribbean region and the world.
Well, the time has come for stories about Barbados and the region to be told by its own people and be included as part of the school's curricula. This was one of the views shared during the launch of the book Independence, Colonial Relics and Monuments in the Caribbean at the Barbados Museum and Historical Society. Rachel Agard has the story.
Knowledge is power, and the Caribbean, as it is known, is facing a crisis and an uphill battle by not telling its story. This is the view of history lecturer at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, Dr. Alison Ramsey. She's calling for the subject to be connected to reading to encourage children to learn. Dr. Ramsey, co-editor of the book Independence, Colonial Relics and Monuments in the Caribbean, says if the connection is made with children from very young, they will have a better grounding of who they are as a people.
It's essential that history be taught from the primary school level, not just social studies, but history as well. History and heritage should also be embedded in the secondary school curriculum. This is how we will know how we are going to stand for ourselves across the world. If we don't know who we are, how can we put together a front to say this is who we are to the rest of the world?
Dr. Jerome Tilak Singh, who also lectures at the St. Augustine campus and is co-editor of the book, says while progressive changes are taking place by removing relics, statues, and monuments, officials also need to listen to the citizenry to make informed decisions.
An accurate depiction of each nation's history is needed, but the question we have to ask ourselves, do our citizens have the patience, the vision, and the interest? Sometimes we don't consider the repercussions of removing these colonial relics. Some of the older folks get attached to these colonial relics, you know. Yeah? Some of the older folks, like my parents, they grew up with the Union Jack, you know, so that sometimes there is a sense of loss. Yes, they're happy to see this change, but the older generation grew up with that.
Meanwhile, Project Coordinator for the Office of Reparations in the Prime Minister's Office, Rodney Grant, says such stories are important for nation building.
These stories are important. How we tell the heritage of our people is important to the kind of nation that we want to see, the kind of society we want to see. And therefore, we need more people to write. We need more people to write the story of our people in our own way. And monuments help to do this. Books help to do this in terms of memorializing our own story.
The book was penned by authors from Barbados, Curacao, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. Rachel Legard, CBC News.
And joining us tonight with Sports Night is Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Some cricket news first up. A superb spell from pacer Aliyah Aline helped Barbados Royals women to their second straight Maisie Women's Caribbean Premier League title. Player of the match, Aline took 4 for 21 as the Royals defeated host Trinbago Knight Riders women in the final by 4 wickets at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy this afternoon. Sent into bat, TKR were held to below par 93 for 8 in their 20 overs. Shikapande top scored with 28. Well, in reply, the Royals got off to a good start to reach 69 for 2 after 10 overs, but then limped home on 94 for 6 in 15 overs to lift the trophy. Chamara Athupatu finished 39 not out, while Samara Ramnath took 2 for 18. Well, 2 years after announcing her retirement, Deandra Doughton is back in the West Indies squad for the upcoming Women's T20 World Cup in the United Arab Emirates. The full team reads Hayley Matthews, the captain, Shemaine Campbell, vice, Aliyah Aline, Afi Fletcher, Munasar, Chide Nation, Chanel Henry, Doughton, Charisma Ramharak, Mangaroo, Crafton, Kiana Joseph, Shamilia Connell, Stephanie Taylor, and Zeta James. West Indies begin their World Cup campaign on October 4th in Dubai against South Africa, and then have the rest of their Group B games lined up against Scotland, Bangladesh, and England. The top 2 teams from the group will proceed to the semi-finals. The finals set for October the 20th. Some track and field news. Kishwana Niles became the first Barbadian woman on the track to win a medal at the World Athletics Under-20 Championships when she took bronze last night in Lima, Peru. Competing in the 100 meters, Niles was third in a time of 11.37 seconds. We would have mentioned that last night. It was a Caribbean sweep as the winner was Alana Reid of Jamaica in 11.17, while the silver went to Deja Hodge of British Virgin Islands in 11.27. Meanwhile, Aragon Straker was 5th in his semi-final heat of the 200 meters. His time was 21.30 seconds, and it meant that he just missed out on a place in the final. Well, after a personal best time of 13.71 seconds that saw her advance to the semi-finals, Maya Rollins unfortunately did not make it to the final of the women's 100-meter hurdles. She finished 8th in her semi-final heat in a time of 13.96. And Brianna Boyce also competed in the 100 meters hurdles, but unfortunately did not advance out of this morning's first round. She was 7th in her heat in a time of 14.17 seconds. Well, that is the first half in sports. Pearson is back over to you. When we come back, we've got some football news.
All right, Damien, thank you. We'll take a break here. We're coming back with tonight's business report. In business tonight, there is potential for Barbados and St. Lucia to secure more international flights through the embrace of the hub and spoke network model. A hub is a central airport that flights are routed through, and spokes are the routes that planes take out of the hub airport. The Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association says a similar arrangement can be in place in the Northern Caribbean with Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. President Nicola Madden-Gregg believes such a system can work. She made her views known in an address at the Organization of American States.
As opportunities to really bring in large international flights from maybe not only our typical markets, the US, North America, Canada, but look into the Far East and other regions, maybe South-South travel, so that we can generate a different clientele, a new market, and then be able to drive them through the region by hitting one of these hubs, but being able to do so with the multi-destinational travel being seamless. So like when you're going to Europe or the Far East, you don't just go to one place. You kind of plan those 2-week trips, 3-week trips to be able to go to 2, 3, or 4 destinations.
Now, preparing that new or used vehicle for the road is being made easy. That's as a result of services offered by companies like Guaranteed Transport Services. Trevor Thorpe reports.
According to the company official, the market is new but competitive. So much so, he's been using a diverse form of advertising to gain market share.
I market in a different way via social media. The rest of the guys basically use signs, but I like to tell a story. So people, the public like to see a story, so I guess once I give them a story, that's how we market different. So I put it in an entertainment way and still get the job done at the same time.
Although relatively new to the market, he says further development and expansion is in the works.
This is just the beginning, I should say. We are planning to expand into a whole lot of different automotive services that I'd like to talk about in the near future, but I'd say that for now, we are just focusing on the registration, but in the future, we are going to expand in a lot of different ways.
Mr. Henry outlines some of the services offered by the company.
Guaranteed Transport Services basically handles the vehicle registration process for commercial, private, hire, taxi, any class of vehicle. We basically handle the whole process for our customers and the public, whoever is interested. That's what we basically do.
He says demand for the services they offer is rising. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial, with 5,629,258 units, was the volume leader, followed by Radio Jamaica Limited and the Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, Maisie Holdings Limited was the volume leader, with 333,223 shares changing hands, for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $1,166,280.50, followed by the West Indian Tobacco Company Limited. And here in Barbados, First Caribbean International Bank was the sole security, trading 47 shares at Barbados $2.10 each.
That's our business report. We'll take a break here. We're coming back with a look at the weather with Carrie-Ann O'Neill.
In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:47 and will set at 10 minutes past 6. Now, the first high tide, that's expected at 21 minutes to 1 in the early morning. The first low at 2 minutes to 8 in the morning. The seas, calm to moderate in open water with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. The winds coming in from the east at 20 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, we can expect a mix of clear and cloudy skies along with showers and a medium chance of some isolated thunderstorms. Over the next 3 days, instability will impact the island. We are expecting occasionally cloudy skies along with some showers. That's Friday and Saturday. By Sunday, that tropical wave will be approaching the island. We are expecting cloudy skies along with showers.
Time now for that second half in sports. Once again, here's Damien Best.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, 7 goals were scored last night as the 2024 Prime Minister's Cup continued at Gall Hill in St. John. Paradise came from behind to beat Wharton FC 3-2, while part of Gall Hill and Whitehall Titans played to a 1-1 draw.
Gall Hill St. John, the venue. Wharton taking on Paradise in yellow. 5th minute, set piece for Wharton. A chance to engineer something special. Rush of players into the box, and in the end, Barbados' #1 tennis player, Darian King, right place, right time, delivers the ace. 1-0 to Wharton. How would Paradise respond? Well, they can count their lucky stars. A long searching ball is met by the head of Stefan Kamabach of Wharton. A crush in sight for any team. An own goal in the 12th minute. It's all square at 1-1. Like I said, emotional damage inflicted. Wharton's shoulders drop. Looking to casual in defense, and Paradise with renewed intensity. Jomo Harris with an exquisite finish to beat the goalkeeper. Paradise take the lead 2-1. Closing stages of the first half, 45th and change. Danger lurking, Paradise feasting on a poor defence. Winston Maynard arriving at the back post unattended. Christmas in August. Paradise 3, Wharton 1. Switch of ends for the second half, 60th minute. Wharton aiming to cut the deficit. Hang on to your seats, folks. This one was a PS5 special. Oh, Manny Leacock, deadly. 4 players and a goalkeeper bamboozled. One of the best individual efforts of the season so far. Paradise 3, Wharton 2. In the final analysis, Paradise were just too good. They could have scored more goals, but they take away the 3-2 scoreline and the 3 points. Moving smartly along to the second match, Pride of Gall Hill in blue versus Whitehall Titans. First half stoppage time. Pride of Gall Hill into the attacking third. Link up to Josh Cummins. Goalkeeper on his way, but Cummins, cool, calm, and precise, makes it 1-0 in front of a massive crowd. Only one more goal was scored in this one, second half. Switch of ends, 69th minute. Whitehall operating down the right. Cross comes in, and there's a cry for handball in the box. Referee says, yes, sir. Penalty coming. Up steps Kadeem Frederick. Beats Justin Neal to his right. This one ends. Whitehall 1, Pride of Gall Hill 1.
Well, the development of our local athletes is way beyond the field of play, as there needs to be an enhancement of other related social skills, and government is looking to embark on a program to do just that. That's the word from Minister of Sports Charles Griffith, who was speaking on the backdrop of the recent regional success of the Barbados under-14 football team.
One of the things that I really want to see is that other areas are developed instead of just the hard sport. So, for example, things like being able to speak comfortable to the media, for them to engage in leadership, money management, all of these things I want embedded in the program for our youngsters, so that when they can step at a totally different level.
Well, that is my time for sports tonight. Pearson, it's back over to you.
Damien, thank you for your time. We're right back after this break. And that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.